All right, so moving on to the final segment, I'll be predicting which NFC teams will win their respective divisions this upcoming NFL season. So starting with the NFC East, I am going with my Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East division this year. And history has repeated itself. There has not been a back-to-back NFC East champion since the 2004 NFL season. So every year, back and forth since 2004, whether it's Philadelphia, Dallas, New York, Washington, it's always been back and forth with those respective teams. Nobody has said they has became back-to-back champions, no matter how stacked the team was, no matter how good the team was a year before. History has repeated itself since 2004. And I think we're on the cusp of history of repeating itself again this upcoming NFL season. I'm going with the Cowboys to win this division and not the reigning defending NFC champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. And I do believe that the reason why a lot of you guys might be thrown off of why I'm picking the Cowboys over the Eagles to win this division. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this gap between the Cowboys and the Eagles really isn't that big of a gap between each other. You look at what they have compared to us. We are even Steven, in my opinion, when it comes to overall rosters. The only thing is you could say they have the edge over us is at the quarterback position, that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Other than that, there really is no gap margin of which team is the better team between the Eagles and the Cowboys. And you could have the argument that the Eagles were the better team record-wise, but we split the series between the Eagles last year. We split the series between them last year. They played us week 6 when Dak Prescott was not in the lineup. Cooper Rush was. They took advantage of that. They beat us week 6 in Philly. Then we took advantage of the fact they didn't have they didn't have Jalen Hurts in Dallas on the road when they played us Christmas Eve, and then Dak Prescott put over 400 yards passing over the best defensive team in the National Football League in the Philadelphia Eagles at the time. And that we beat them. So you can't tell me who the better team really was last year other than the record-wise. And you could say they went to the Super Bowl, but bottom line is they played a Daniel Jones team that did not have no wide receiver, had no threat at the wide receiver position in the divisional round. Then you played a 49ers team in the NFC Championship that did not have a quarterback after the second series of that game. So you can have that argument with me. Yes, they did almost win the Super Bowl, but in my opinion, the gap is not that big. They had a cakewalk to get to the Super Bowl, and I say that respectfully. But the Cowboys made a big upgrade, made some big-time upgrades, upgrading to Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore, getting them from some late-round picks. I thought the franchise executed on that as well. And I'm looking at the Eagles. They lost both offensive and defensive coordinators this offseason. Their schedule has 10 teams that made the playoffs last year on their schedule. And when you look at their schedule, week 6, when they play, the schedule for them gets tougher. They play in New York at the Jets. They play the Miami Dolphins at home. They're at the Commanders, a team that they split the series with last year. Commanders end their undefeated streak last year. The Cowboys at home. The Kansas City Chiefs on the road in a Super Bowl rematch. Bills at home. 49ers at home. NFC Championship rematch. The Cowboys on the road at Seattle in Seattle when the 12th man will be in attendance. This is going to be a harder team, a harder roster. They're going to play better teams. It's going to be a harder path to the Super Bowl. It's not going to be a 13-4 year for the Eagles again. They lost 5 of its top 9 defensive players during NFL free agency. That's going to be a big dip dramatically this year. The Giants are still developing into a championship roster. And the Commanders, I still have a lot of question marks with Sam Howell at the quarterback position and Ron Rivera controlling this team. So I do believe, and with the suspect defense I'll add in. So I'm ruling out the Giants and Commanders to win this division. I'm going with the Cowboys to win the NFC East. NFC North, I am going with the Detroit Lions to win this division. This will actually be the first time in NFL history since the division was rebranded to the NFC North, and the Lions have never won the NFC North. never since the division was rebranded in the early 2000s. So I'm looking for them to make history. And this will be the first time that the Lions have won a division won a division title in 30 years. The last time they did that, when they won their division title back in 1993. Very long time ago. Longest drought of teams not winning a division as well. But the Lions had a huge second half turnaround last year. They started the season at 1-6, finished the season at 9-8, barely missing the final wild card spot in the NFC. But I believe that this team fully bought into what Dan Campbell is providing them. The message that they're ready to compete right now. They're all bought into this. They're all bought into Dan Campbell's message, and right now the NFC conference is wide open. The only proven commodities right now in this division are the Philadelphia Eagles, are the San Francisco 49ers, are the Dallas Cowboys. Everybody else, it's wide open. It's fair game for them. And if the Lions win this division, they host a playoff game, which is huge. But I have high hopes for the Lions this year. I'm very high on this team. They're loaded on offense. They have Jared Goff. New 1-2 punch at the running back position of David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs, running back from Alabama. He'll be a rookie. Have one of the best offensive lines in football. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown as well at the wide receiver position. Revamped their defense, adding cornerback Cameron Sutton and safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the secondary. So they upgraded as well. Very good. I don't see that the Packers will win this division this year. First year that Aaron Rodgers has not been the starter since Brett Favre departed from the franchise. We really don't know what Jordan Love is this far, and he's only been on the football field a hand amount of times. I can really count on how many games he's played thus far. So I don't expect them to win this division this yet with Jordan Love. The Bears, like I said, I'm very high on Justin Fields. I do believe he'll be an improved quarterback this year with some new weapons in the offense. But their defense has holes everywhere. Their defense is going to really be the ones that's going to collect losses in the win and loss column for them, not Justin Fields, in my opinion. And the Vikings are frauds. Let's be honest, this team went 13-4 last year, was bounced in the first round of Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. They won 11 one-score games last year. 11 one-score games last year. They were very close nail-biter games from start of the season all the way to the end of the season. With a very suspect defense. They just lost they just lost Adam Thielen. They just lost Dalvin Cook. So the Vikings are definitely going to take a step back. I'm going with the Lions to win the NFC North. NFC South, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints to win this division. To me, the division is wide open. I could see all four teams winning this division. You guys know how I feel about this New Orleans Saints team this year. I said it earlier in the podcast. They upgraded at the quarterback position with Derek Carr. This is the first franchise quarterback that they're going to have that could legitimately win games for you since Drew Brees departed since retiring in 2020. I do believe that Derek Carr is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the National Football League today. But the Saints, they're loaded on both sides of the ball. Offense, they have Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams. Defense, they have Cameron Jordan. They have Demario Davis, who I do believe is one of the most underrated linebackers in the game of football. They have the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May, Marshawn Lattimore. But what I'm expecting from this division is the Falcons, you guys know, I said a few weeks ago on the podcast, they're my sleeper team. They're on my sleeper radar this year. Bucks, cannot trust them because of what Baker Mayfield did and has done in his NFL career thus far. The team was horrible with Tom Brady last year, going 8-9, winning the worst division of football, got destroyed in the wild card game to the Dallas Cowboys. Panthers have a suspect offensive line and it showed all preseason long with Bryce Young has taken a lot of hits that he's never played a full regular season game thus far. Bad sign to me. I think he's going to need time to develop in Carolina. So the Saints are my pick to win the NFC South. And in the NFC West, I'm going with the 49ers to win this division. I do believe it's just going to be a two-team race to win this division between the 49ers and the Seahawks this year. I do believe that the 49ers are the most all-around talented team in the National Football League. Right now, they're my Cowboys kryptonite for a reason. They are a really special team. It'll be a two-team race between them and the Seahawks. Cardinals have already ruled Kyler Murray out for the first month of football, missing 4 weeks. And the Rams are looking like they're heading into a rebuilding stage. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald, it's not going to be enough. And Sean McVay, those four individuals not going to be enough to save that young, developing Los Angeles Rams team thus far. So those are my division winners for this upcoming NFL season in the NFC department and the NFC conference. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Irie, signing off, and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.